everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Well, today we're going to jump into part 2 of Department 56's new Fright Ave release of the Exorcist House. Part 2 is all we're going to do on this house. I don't think there's going to be a part 3 because I've worked quite a bit today trying to finish it up. I've really just felt in the mood. I love this house. I love just the way it's turning out, and I wanted to share that with you guys. This is going to do it. This is going to wrap it up. Part 2 is the final one, and we'll talk about everything we did and why I didn't show some things and what I plan to do to rectify that for all of you out there. So, hey, with that, let's jump in and take a look at the Exorcist House from Department 56's new Fright Ave. Okay, so here we are. Here is the final rendition of the Exorcist House. I am really pleased with the way this turned out. There are some things that are fundamentally wrong, things that I just are not capable of doing, I don't think. But all in all, I think it's turned out really, really good. And I'm pleased with it. It's one of my favorite builds for this season for sure. So, let's kind of take a look all around first, and then we'll get into some of the details on how and why and all of that stuff there. But man, the static grass, I think, turned out way good. At least this is only my second time doing it. And so, I think I've got room for improvement and learning. But all in all, I'm pretty satisfied with the way that it's looking and has turned out. All right, so let's talk about some of these pieces. All right, so first of all, and I'm going to try to do everything one-handed, a lot of this stuff is modular in concept, meaning this gate and fence was all made using the foam. Now, you saw all the pieces cut out, and now all the pieces are painted and glued together. All right, so that's just XPS foam. That is the green XPS foam that you saw cut out. I think it was green. Pretty sure it was green. But that's how that is, and that's how that's turned out. Pretty pleased with that. Here's the thing, right? If you look at the actual piece that comes with the kit, it's fairly small and intricate. It's also probably laser done and just through the manufacturing process. I'm just not capable of doing that. At least I don't think I am. I don't have anything, tip wise that could make that fine of a cut. At least I don't think. I may have to experiment some more, but guys, this is about as best as I'm going to get done. And then you talk about grouting. So this is all weathered and grouted. And so you see, I think it looks pretty good all in all. And I think, from a color match, no, it's not perfect. You can kind of see that over there, but it's close. It's close enough. And so that is a modular piece. And then coming over to this part of the fence, this is also a modular piece that just comes out. It's all glued together and just kind of sits that way. And so that helps with the storage aspect of it. All right, so you've seen the road before. All right, so same concept. That is the anti-skid tape. It's dirtied up with some playground sand, and then I've got some fall leaves on it. Now, I did find on Amazon here's what I do, because everybody's going to say, hey, where'd you get the leaves? I got the leaves off of Amazon. I simply typed in miniature fall foliage for dioramas, and a whole, hundreds probably come up. And so I just kind of scrolled through looking for one, price, and two, a color that perhaps maybe I didn't have. And I told you before that, some of these leaves up on the house are a little more dark, and if I could try to match those, that's what I'd want to do. And so I was able to find some more, a little more brown, instead of and so it came with, I think a couple of different colors of greens, a yellow, a brown, orange, and red. So 5 or 6 of the little jars of that is what I got. And I think it was $17 or something like that off of Amazon. So that's that's how that works. All right. And so then as far as the sidewalk, this was a challenge, but I love the way it turned out. I would love to, I was always fearful of doing my own cobblestone, but after doing this and seeing the way this turned out, I'm pretty pleased with it, quite honestly. I mean, the detail on it, I don't know if I can zoom in enough where you can really pick up the fine detail, but it turned out pretty good. And so that's some different colors of paint. We painted it all black first, and then we went over it with a different color of gray, some browns. I started mixing colors together. What I was trying to do, and failed miserably, was trying to match this Department 56 piece, right? Father Marin going into the house. And I was just unable to do it. I think I got somewhat close. I think I had a brown that was pretty, almost the right color, but then the grout, it just stands out so much. So if you look at just the brick, so kind of if I zoom in just to the brick, now this has been wiped down with water and sponges to get the grout. So it's changed the color of the brick a little bit, but the brick themselves was pretty close. And I knew that once we started putting the grout on it, it may just change everything. And so it did a little bit, but I love the look of it. I love the texture of it. I love everything about it, quite honestly. I'm very pleased with the way the sidewalk turned out. And so that is how that works. Now, I've got everything plugged in right now, so I'm not able to, disassemble and show you how this thing fits in there. But essentially, let's take a look behind here to kind of go behind the scenes. We'll move this tree for now. All right. So it's going to be hard to focus. Let me get back here. So I've concealed some things with some bushes. Now, I have a tutorial on building these bushes way back. So you'll have to go back and look for those if you want to know how to make these shrubs. But you can see that's how it looks, right? That's the whole going for the cord. It snaps right into place. And so there you have it. So with this in place, I've just kind of got it, I'm symmetrical, so I've got one on the other side. But it pretty much hides it from view. And if you come on this side here, you can't see it anyway, like not at all. So there's that. So that's how that sits in there. And then I've got a couple more of those big shrubs in the back. Again, these are all homemade. I made all of these. There is some shrubs up against the house that were part of the design. So I just carried that theme back into the back because there was nothing back there and it looked a little bit naked. So I put a couple over there. And then, as you see, a couple over there, just to be, I can't help it. That's just the way I think. I'm very symmetrical in my thought process. And so I had to have a couple over there as well. And so that is how that looks. And then for these shrub or these vines or these plants or vines or whatever they are, I saw them in a couple of the pictures that I was looking at online on how to replicate this house. And so you see them behind the fence, and they're sort of shabby in nature. And I'm like, man, I have no idea how I'm going to do that. I have zero idea of the way that's going to work. So what I did, and I'll put this back while we're talking. What I did was I took some of these. So I've got the Pennywise set back up, and most of its entirety. I love this one too, for sure. But if I can zoom in to some of these, so you see those right there, those. So I have a whole bunch of dried flowers that we picked up, and there's several throughout the yard. You can kind of see them all standing up all the way in the back and way back there if I don't knock everything down, especially right here. So that's these, right? And so they're pretty stout for dried flowers. And so I thought if I take some dried flowers, and I'm going to kind of turn you around here to part of the mess in my craft room. Don't judge on the organization. It's my own, I've got my own method and my own madness. So I took this blended turf that I got from, you guessed it, Hobby Lobby, one of my favorite places in the entire planet to go. And I took some glue water mixture that I used to put on the grass. And I squirted it. So I cut some of these down to size, about the size that you see, maybe a little bit longer. I actually cut them down when I was installing them. So I cut them down to a respectable size. I coated them in glue water mixture, and then I just immediately shook a bunch of this blended turf over them. Then, and to ensure that it stuck and it didn't come off, I put some more glue water mixture on them. And I put a little bit more of the blended turf over top of that. I set them out on my trash can. It was 111 here, I believe, today for the high. And so in about, I don't know, 30 minutes to an hour and 30 minutes, I didn't really time it. So they're out there for a little while. Went out and picked them up and shook them around, and nothing came off. So there you have it. So just like on the Pennywise diorama, I used a little my little drill, and I'll show you that too. Let me get down in this drawer here so you can see. Got this little drill, and I took the drill, and essentially, and I know that's not focusing. The important part is you get to see the drill, and you can pick these up at Hobby Lobby or anywhere. And you don't have to use that. You can use a screwdriver. You can use any ice pick, whatever you want. But I poked a hole down into the foam, and I simply stuck those in it. And so I think, is it perfect to the way the movie is? I don't know. I'm going to watch the movie, I think, this evening if my wife is down for it. But I did look back at the pictures, and I'm pretty pleased with the way they turned out. So that's how we did that. So you can see that. And then on to the turf. Now, I said I might do a tutorial or show you on camera on how that I was doing this. Let me see if I can focus a little bit better there. How I was going to get this stuff done, and I didn't do that. And here's a couple of reasons why. The main reason is this is only the second time I've ever used this kind of static grass. I've never done it before. I just got the tool not more than a week or two ago. And so I didn't want to try to do it and videotape it. And, in case it turned out horrible, I've only got me to blame. And, I don't think it turned out half bad, quite honestly. So I think what I'll do to kind of make it up to you guys, I think most of you, there's so many tutorials on YouTube, way better than mine, on how to use static grass. But if you want to see yours truly do it, I'll do a video on it. I'll just do a very simple, hey, this is how we do static grass. We'll do a small little diorama of some sort, and we'll throw some static grass down there. Now, this is a mixture of 3 different types of static grass. I started with a sort of a bright green color that looked almost like the Grinch. So when that went down, I'm like, oh man, I am so thankful I didn't videotape. This is a waste of time. But I knew that I needed to put some other coats on it. So I took a darker, almost a hay colored or a very brown color, and did some glue water mixture in a small little spray bottle, and kind of sprayed over the areas that I wanted to reapply. And then I reapplied the brown, or the darker of the colors. And then once that happened, I kind of gathered up all the excess and put it back in the jar, and then started again, spritzed a little more glue water, and then went with a darker green. And you can see that darker green right there beside the tree in some of the splotches there. So right in this area here. And so it gives it a much more, I think, realistic look when you do it that way. That's kind of how all the videos I've seen online show it anyway. So you can really see kind of the Grinch green at the bottom. You can see the brown over in this area, and then you can see the dark green kind of smattered all throughout. And when you look at the whole entire yard, it gives it a pretty realistic look, quite honestly. I'm very, very pleased, with the way it turned out. And then, I tried to not get the grass into the area where I was going to put the trees or the area where I was going to put the house. And so, again, all in all, I'm very, very pleased with the way this build has turned out. I know a couple of folks have chimed in and they're saying, hey, they're just not digging the small size of these buildings and especially when you're looking at the size versus the cost. And here's what I'll say about that. To each their own. You got to be happy with what you're spending your hard-earned money on. That's number one, right? But for me personally, I'm just going to be downright honest with you. I love the size of these buildings. I absolutely like them better than the big old Snow Village buildings. And here's why. I wasn't sure at first, right? I wasn't sure that I was going to dig this size. I knew that as we went into this season with the release of these, that it was going to challenge us, right? For us builders. It was going to challenge us to think maybe a little bit differently, to recreate some different things as far as size. I mean, if you can create a 1/4-inch sidewalk by 2-inch sidewalk, then you can probably create a smaller sidewalk. You've got to scale everything appropriately. And sometimes that's a challenge. It's definitely a challenge when you get to stuff like this, because if it was Snow Village, this would look a whole lot better size-wise, but it's not. So, you do run into a few little issues like that. But all in all, I'm so incredibly happy with this size of buildings because this is crazy. I mean, you can set this bad boy up in a fraction of the real estate that it takes to set up a similar Snow Village vignette. Again, this is, I'm starting at about 8.5 and we're going to 27.5. So you're talking just over 18 inches in length and only about, if we stop here, we're starting at 2 and we end up at 15. So you're talking, and that's just shy. So you're talking 12.5, maybe, as far as deep on this vignette. Very small. You could place this in literally anywhere inside your home, I think, and be able to get away with it. Same thing with the Pennywise one, right? You look how, I mean, that's pretty small sitting up there. Now, obviously, the sign's not sitting beside it, but as a matter of fact, let me stop the camera real quick and reposition a couple things and just kind of show you something real quick. I'll be right back. All right. So I know this is an Exorcist House video and the completion of that, but while we're at it, I just wanted to show them sort of side by side and how, the real estate that we're actually looking at. So if I can zoom out just a little bit, I mean, that is a 5-foot long card or picnic table, plastic table that you get at Costco or whatever. And I can fit easily probably, I know one more for sure, and if I slide it all the way to the end, slide them closer together, I could fit 2 more of these size vignettes up here. So when you're creating, these vignettes, I mean, man, I think you can go, you can see you can get super detailed, right? Even at this size, right? Especially with all the detail of this one, it's just beautiful to me. And then you come over to this old dilapidated one, just a whole different genre and a whole different subset of things you can do with these. And so I know people have their own opinions and you got to do what makes you happy. But I'll be honest, I love the size of these vignettes. I absolutely love them. So we'll focus back on the Exorcist. Sorry, I went down a rabbit hole. You know me and getting carried away with this stuff. I love it. So anyway, that is a look at the Exorcist House. Now, what I'd like to do is kind of unplug everything and then show you how the parts and pieces fit in there. And that way you can kind of see the whole thing minus the house and the accessory. So give me a second. Okay, so when we're looking at putting all this stuff back into the box and storing it for the off season, how do we do that? Well, obviously, with everything unplugged, the house just comes straight up, right? And so you see, there's not a lot of grass or anything on the bottom, so I think it sticks pretty good. It's not coming off. Um, and so you can see that the grass, where that goes. And then as far as this piece, now obviously the reason we did not glue this stuff down is because in order for it to fit in like that, I had to kind of indent the little thing and it kind of locks into place. So that's got to come off. Same on this side. You can see the small little leaf pile down there. Well, that wasn't going to fit normally on there, so I had to cut that out at the bottom. You can see that. So that comes off. And then as far as this piece, and I got to be very, very careful because I'm trying to do this with one hand. Essentially, you just pull back and it pops right out of there, right? So we'll put that over out of the way. And then we're left with this. Now, everything else other than the trees and the bushes is glued down, right? So we would take off, oh, geez, I'm a mess. We'll take off the trees. There goes the bushes, right? And then we would essentially have, this is the base. This is what we would end up storing. Right, so this picks up, and I do have some little feet on the bottom of it. You can kind of see those under there. You can see how the cord's running, and so on. So that is sitting just like that, and that's it. So that's how everything comes apart and is stored. So it's pretty easy. It's a pretty small footprint of a platform. My only fear would be, you got to store it to keep these things sort of safe because they are pretty tall and they could get broken off. The beauty is you can go out and make more of these relatively cheap if you do it like I do and experiment with what you got laying around the house. So there you have it. There's a closer look at the base itself, minus all the accessories. And then again, you would store the fence pieces with it somewhere alongside it separate so it doesn't mess up, right? And so the leaves, you've seen me do that before, but those are all glue watered down. Same thing, they're not going anywhere. They're on there. So it's a beautiful thing to be able to do it that way. So hopefully you like that. Hopefully it helps. Okay, well, hopefully you've enjoyed that. I know I had a blast building this. I had to do a lot of research. I haven't seen the movie since I was a child. I'm going to watch it, I think, tonight. Or very soon anyway, just to have it done and over with and say I've done it. I did do a lot of research online to try to figure out what that building looks like and what it looked like during the movie, sort of the fence and the grounds and everything around it. I tried to do my best to replicate what I saw online. I'm probably way off. As a matter of fact, I know that like to the right side of it, it looks like there's another big building with a bunch of vines growing on it, and who knows what's down to the left of it. That's hard to do. Also, another thing that really is not accurately portrayed completely in the Department 56 release is the gate that is open where Father Marin is walking through is actually the driveway. It's a gated driveway that goes into the little house, but through the driveway. The personnel gate is just to the right of that. You can see that in the movie picture. And so this one, I started looking at it and trying to go, well, that's really the driveway gate. So I could build a driveway up through there, but then you start getting a little too carried away for what it is. There is no other gate to get through. So at the end of the day, I created it to try to look as best like the movie as possible. I'm sure I'm wrong in many fronts. However, I think it looks great. I'm very pleased with it. I love the house. It may be, now you guys know, it is my absolute favorite. IT, the crazy Pennywise the Clown. But as far as a look and a vignette this year so far, I got to give it to the Exorcist House. Quite honestly, it was a more fun build. It was this is different, very unique, and very cool, I think. And so hopefully you guys agree with that. So we're going to wrap this one up. We're going to put it in the books. And like always, if you've enjoyed this video, make sure you click the like button. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. It helps me personally. It helps the channel to grow. And if you know folks that are like-minded and like to learn how to do this stuff that you and I enjoy so much, share this video with them. Let them partake in what we are doing together. What's coming next? Well, we've got a couple of reviews we got to get knocked out. We've got to get the Trick or Treat Lane house, the Mad Scientist house review knocked out. I've got a whole bunch of stuff from Mini Creation Studio that I've got to get reviewed. Perry over there has done an outstanding job, and so I owe him, to do a review for the stuff that he sent me. And so that's what we're gonna do over the next couple of days. Coraline, when's it coming? I'm not 100% sure. Probably soon. So, hey, with that, take care of yourselves. God bless each and every one of you. We'll talk to you guys again real soon.